I'm so kidding.
Hello. Here we are on day 2 of Own Your Genius, and I am excited to have this group of extraordinary women joining us today. It's been a very good day for me. I've been on a mastermind call for the morning, and I had our Platinum Mastermind group, and we were talking about client journeys. And one of the things I love about with being part of my clients' journeys and helping them discover their client journeys, how they're serving their clients and what's the journey they're taking their clients on, what's the transformation that they're helping their clients do. It's such a joy for me to see my own clients' journey, to see what happens for them as they are stepping out and finding clarity in their message, finding clarity in how they serve their clients, finding clarity in how they show up in their brand and their message and the impact that they want to make. So all of that is super important to me. Client journey is such a beautiful thing. And all 3 of these women today have a beautiful story around their client journey with me and how they are serving their clients, how that's shifted, how it's transformed, how it continues to transform. And that's the beauty of being an entrepreneur. I always say it's like we're part of a spiral journey, right? Spiral journey for me started back in my book, Fire to Answer, when I was talking about my own personal journey through life, right? It's like the transformation out of the corporate world into being an entrepreneur. Well, the beautiful thing about being an entrepreneur is that we continue to have these spiral journeys, and our business is just never we just never are all done, right? Because there's always an evolution. We're always growing. We're always refining even a little bit more who we serve, how we serve them. And these women have some beautiful stories to be sharing with us today. So I want to start with introducing who we have in the room. We have Liz Morgan, who's a food culture transinista, creating deep healing for the people and the planet. And this is going to be so much fun to have conversations around this. We have Shelly Schell, who is helping you get intentional with your money and knowing that we can make an impact on the world with our money. I mean, by the choices we make with our money. So that's also so important. And we have Kathi McCarty, who works in the world of as a Meth Toxins Awareness Alliance. And she's got an incredible story where she's really tapped into, well, she had her own story where meth toxins impacted a home in which her family home. And now she is an advocate. She is out helping change laws. She is helping create awareness. She's helping create solutions to helping people maneuver through making sure that they don't fall into the world of meth toxin challenges in your home. And then, okay, we have Ole too. So we have Ole today. He's insisting that he sits on my lap. So you may see his ears popping up because he's very intrigued with what's going on the screen here. So we have got a fun room here today. I'm super excited about this. And I talked a little bit about yesterday why I started doing this, the Own Your Genius series 3 years ago. Kathi was part of that. I think, Shelly, you were probably part of that 3 years ago as well. Mm-hmm. And so it's been fun to see what happens, what evolves, and how everyone continues to get their message out into the world, how they're showing up on podcasts, how they're showing up on stages. The numbers, I've got amazing. I shared some of the numbers yesterday if you want to hear some of those numbers, but it's pretty amazing what has happened for all of my clients as they find clarity in how they want to bring their message into the world. And this group is certainly no exception. This group is putting their message out in a big sort of a way. So if anybody is wanting to get their voice out into the world in a bigger way and know that you want to grow your business, I have opened up 5 spots on my calendar in the next couple of weeks where if you are wanting to get your voice out in a bigger way, let's have a conversation. If you're ready to grow your business to that next level, let's have a conversation. Grab one of those 5 spots, just send me a PM and a private message, and we'll find time to really look at what your message is, fine tune it, and really think about how are you taking that out, how you're getting visible, and how is it helping you grow your business. That's some of the things that I really love to help people do, is to find clarity in that. So you're going to get to meet these 3 women today. And I'm going to start with, who am I going to start with? Liz, I'm going to start with you.
All right.
So introduce yourself and who you serve and how you serve them. And just tell us a little bit about, because I know you've made some really cool shifts in how you're serving people and what was coming up for you, what was there for you to be taking into the world. There was this calling to you that you were hearing. It was like, it's not quite there, but so you made a big shift recently. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, thanks, Cami. So I came to you as a functional nutritionist with a specialty in digestive healing, like deep digestive healing. And I still do that work with my clients. But what I found over the years was that, I can talk to people about what's wrong with their digestion, what they need to fix about their food, lifestyle, supplements, that sort of thing. But the biggest barrier to their recovery, to their healing, to their health transformation was the food culture they live in.
Yeah.
And so my clients had to be really rebellious against like the whole culture that they live in.
People on their life, that when they would go shopping, everything, right?
Yep. The grocery store is telling you to buy all the wrong things. The people in your household are telling you you're a hypochondriac or you should just ignore what's going on in your body and they don't want to change. Your friends, the restaurants you go to. And so that was always what would stop people. It wasn't that they didn't want to do the journey. It was just that there were these cultural barriers. And so that's why I changed my title to Food Culture Transitionista, because my work now, in addition to functional nutrition, is to transform the food culture into one that deeply heals people and planet. Yeah. And because food should be wonderful. Food should be one of the best experiences we have on this planet. People always come to me and say, I use food for comfort. I need help getting over that. And I'm like, food is comforting. Food, like being well nourished, is one of the most comforting things. Also love. It's like on par with love as a comforting need as a human. And so we really need to change our relationship to food. And when we choose wholesome, real food, not processed, not covered in toxic chemicals, that's deeply healing for our bodies. And also that kind of food is grown in ways that makes healthy soil, sequesters carbon to help mitigate climate change, treats animals humanely. So there's really a very specific and direct connection between healing people and planet. And once we can connect with that, it's not just about healing our bodies, it's about healing the planet too, and healing the food culture. Like then the whole culture changes.
So go a little bit, because I love this. And what I love about, as you know, I've been on my own food journey the last several years, and that whole transition into changing my relationship with food was a big part of that, right? It was where in past I had these diet culture kind of, and that's a whole nother culture topic.
Deprivation.
Yeah.
I'm all about decadence.
Yeah. And when I learned to love nurturing foods and what that felt like, to be like treating my body with love. So everything that you're talking about makes so much sense to me. When we learn to treat our plate of food with awe and with love, that's a whole different experience than feeling like, oh my God, I can't eat that because da 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 da, right? So it's the choices that we're making, and you can create so much wonderful, delicious food when it's whole, good foods. So tell us a little bit more about that linkage between how do you define? And I love the connection between food and planet. So just give us a little bit more of that. How you're connecting those dots.
Yeah. Well, so I always hear people say, people who want to be an environmentalist or want to do the right thing, they'll say, my goal is to have less of an impact on the earth.
Yeah.
And my perspective is, no, let's not have less of an impact, because that's less of a bad impact. Let's instead have a really big and positive impact. Like as humans, our job is to be loving caretakers of the life of planet Earth. And our food and the plants and the animals is the life of, and ourselves and our families, that's the life of planet Earth. And when we can care for it and create more life, like reinstate the ecosystems and nurture create habitat for pollinators that are needed for our food system, we're creating more vibrant, thriving life on Earth. And that's part of our food system, part of our health. And part of what the planet really needs from us. I think we all are so stressed out because we're killing the earth. And when we can just like flip it, we don't have to stop living. we just can live in ways that, support farmers that are doing the right thing. No one has to be perfect, but just we can each make little steps along the way.
Yeah, and you're getting lots of accolades here on. I can always, they only are showing up as Facebook user. So you guys can put your names on there. Go out to StreamYard.com/Facebook, and then we can tell who you are. But so tell us who you are when you're making a comment. But what we're seeing here is Liz, that is brilliant. And hi, my faves. Yes, Food and Planet. I might even guess who that one is. But I love this. It's such a good, it's a different way of looking at it. And I love that you had this calling. That's what I knew it was Sherry.
Hi, Sherry.
Yeah. And and what I love is that you listened to, okay, yes, I'm a functional, food. You had all the right pieces on helping people with their food journeys, but there was something more that was really calling to you. And so how did you listen to that inner wisdom that there's more that's there for you to be found? Not to be found, but the more to stand for, if you will.
Yeah. Well, I had been in the environmental field before this. I had been in eco.
Right. So you're bringing all the pieces of you together.
Yeah. And really one thing that attracted me to your program was that I knew my voice was stifled, and that was so frustrating. I knew I wasn't saying to the world the full thing that I wanted to be saying, although I wasn't fully clear on what that was. I really was connected to this people planet thing already. But I didn't know how to be a functional nutritionist and something more and have this bigger message. And so this year you've really helped me, week after week, parse out what that connection is and how I can talk about both and how they're so connected.
Yeah. And so if the whole world could hear one message from you, what is it, Liz?
Oh, well, food can heal people and planet.
Yeah.
It really can. And it's really about changing our relationship. It can be such a beautiful relationship.
Yeah. And so one thing that I'm loving too is you're really starting to show up in different level of conversations than, with this higher level message by the time, by elevating at a bigger level, at a global level, it's a bigger conversation. It's truly a thought leadership messaging. You're having different conversations with different people. What are you most excited about?
Oh my gosh. I really am excited about changing the food culture in this country. People have so much stress, anxiety, avoidance around food and climate change and how we treat animals in our food system. It's such a place of stress, and we're such a stressed out culture, and that really impedes our healing and our health and our enjoyment of life and our really living as who we're meant to be. And so I'm really excited when I see that transformation in people, when they go, oh, my body's not my enemy, or I can be a positive force on this earth just by eating food that tastes better and makes me feel better every day. And I really am excited for this message and this idea to be bigger than just my one-on-one clients. I really teach people to have the conversations in your circles and communities too.
Yeah. And I think this is something that I get really excited about when my clients find that bigger message that is meant to go out into the world that creates change. And so I'm super stoked where this is going for you. So let me see if there's something else I want to ask you. Yeah, we'll come back to you because we've got some more stuff to cover. We're going to do 2 rounds here, but this is good. I like where you're going, and I think the work that you're doing is really, really important. So it's awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, let's go to Shelly Schell. So Shelly Schell is an amazing financial planner. She is, in fact, she's my financial planner. She helps my husband and I plan when we're going to retire, and it's always so much fun too. I've never in my life thought my retirement planning was the most fun thing in the world, but I totally do with Shelly. So it's fun. She helps us see where it's possible and what's there. And, it's awesome. She's really good at what she does. So welcome to Shelly Schell, and tell us a little bit about you, Shelly.
Well, thank you, Cami. That's quite an introduction. And I love following Liz. I'll just say this quickly because, this community that you've built has really expanded. I talk about money and finance, but it's all about these connections that we make in community, but in food and money and spending and investing and all those things, they are all interrelated, right?
Yeah.
And I'll talk about more of that lately. But so I have been an advisor for 25 years and financial planning, investment management, those kind of things. But what really gets to me and has over the years is it's about the education and the process that we've taken in our industry that is just boring, really, or doesn't make those connections with money and purpose, right? And ourselves that get us engaged. And I think that's kind of what you were mentioning earlier.
Totally.
So in my process recently and my experience in working with Cami over the last couple of years is I've got a message, I've got a passion to really make a difference culturally, back to kind of Liz's word, in the financial world. And it's all about creating values and purpose and thinking about those consciously when you're spending and investing. And when you do that, when you make those connections, just like anything, right? We make bigger changes. We become deeper connected to our money and the values around it. And we really can make a bigger difference, not just in our own lives, in our lives and the goals that we have for ourselves, but in the world around us, which is huge.
Yeah. So I know, tell us your one message for the world.
So women who are empowered financially build a better world.
Yeah.
Women who invest in themselves change the world.
Ooh.
Women who invest in companies they believe in change history.
Yeah. So go deeper on what this all means.
Yeah. So again, in my journey as an advisor and planner, you sit down and you go through what does this money mean to you? What do you want to do with it? What are the goals and how do you invest it to get there, right? It's a simple process. But when you think about making those connections as women and the things that we're doing every day already, the purchase power that we have, the things that we're, buying every day as consumers, and we're trendsetters, right? We make these decisions, okay, with our financial purchasing power, but we're not taking it to the next level and then investing in those companies for our futures with our investment dollars. And so I challenge women out there to think about where you spend your money. And again, I keep going back to my community here and Liz, when you have a food culture that's forcing you or marketing you to buy certain products, this is the same thing. We buy these products over and over, and then we are invested in those companies in our portfolios, like in our 401ks, and we don't really even realize what those companies' impacts actually are, right? They are driving our culture. Financially, everything that happens in the world is driven by money, big money. And if we can make those changes with our own dollars and consciously align our purchases, our spending with our investing, and go deeper into those companies that we really believe in and that we want to invest in, and that we make those changes. We make those companies change because we are forcing change upon them with the way that we spend our money.
Yeah, it's so good. And we are so powerful. And it's one of the ways that we can create change. Every single person tuning in here is by it's like getting really intentional about where you put your dollars, either at the grocery store or at at the kinds of clothes you buy, or where you're investing your dollars. And we get to make those, and companies will have to shift because we are the biggest spender.
Yeah.
Women are, what do they say? We're the second largest country, I think, around. I mean, women of the world are, I think, the second largest buyer country wise. I could be off on that a little bit, but it's something like that. We have a lot of buying power, bottom line.
And they market to us, right? So
right.
If you turn on the TV or you look on Facebook, I mean, just the things, our presence and wherever we are, they're marketing to us on a, daily, weekly, every second we're on social media. And it is very hard to, as an advisor, when I'm talking to clients about building an intentional portfolio, or at least part of it, right? Like creating some connections within the portfolio that gives them, relatability, that gives them accessibility, and that they actually feel like they're connected to some of the things that they own in their portfolio that drives the goals that they have, right? So if I can help people make some of those connections in the smallest ways, right, we can make a huge difference in the world, simply because then the marketing shifts and we're then driving it. We're forcing them by our purchasing power and our investing power twofold, not just now consumers, but also investors in these companies. We've got a double ability to create some dynamic change. It's truly amazing. And we can do this as community, right? The more community, the more we share. Again, back to why I love Cammie's tutelage and expertise and help. It's truly, this is out of my comfort zone, right? This isn't what we talk to, for 25 years in this industry. This isn't the language, right? This isn't the language you've heard.
Let's talk about that, because I think that, you came through 25 years of speaking that very masculine language, masculine approaches to investing. What's the shift for you that's really open into the feminine?
Mm-hmm. I think it's really, a couple of things. I'm a mother, and making a connection there over the years is, wow, my kids are watching me. They're sponges, and they see my spending habits. They see the way that I invest money or the way I spend money. And if I don't teach them how to do it the way I want them to learn in a healthy way, that's number one, right? That's really been a big shift for me. But also, I've seen so much over the years that there's just this like glazed over, appeal for people. When I say I'm a financial advisor, they're like, okay, that's really exciting. And I don't need that. I'm not there yet, that kind of thing. And for me, it's really, once I help people see the connection that in their own lives, like when you align values and purpose, when you think about that really intentionally first, before you start your planning or any goal setting around your finances, and you keep drawing back to what is important to me and what do I really want this money to do for me, and then how can I make an impact with it, it really changes the way people relate to their money and the excitement and the commitment they have to it. So it's really been a journey over time for me to be able to come up with this type of connection, but it's with experience, but also passion, both personally and for the women in my community and even the men that I work with. I mean, there's plenty of people.
Yeah, my husband loves working with you.
It's just the thought-provoking conversations that we have.
And I think somebody hit on this. It's like the money story is so old. We need a new story of values. And I think that's what you really help your clients tap into, is the values that they have. I know when you and I first sat down and I was like, okay, where is my money now? And where would I really like to have it? And, we looked at impact investing, and we looked at, different ways that we can make my portfolio more aligned with me. And it felt really, really good. And so I think that that's, tapping back into what are our true values and how we want this to grow. And the good news is that, we can have these conversations, and also what's great for our portfolios. I mean, so you bring both sides of that, and to be able to help guide us through those conversations.
Well, and, one of the things that I do with a lot of people nowadays, and it's a program that I've created called Seasonal Finance, it's just from the very get-go, when people aren't ready to take that step working with an advisor, whether it's me or anybody. And I encourage whoever they are working with to have, to start these conversations for themselves, right? Like, you don't have to just work with me to have these conversations. You just have to know what to ask and how to dig deeper into those value and purpose connections with investing and planning. But it's one of the things that I started was a program called Seasonal Finance, as I mentioned, but we start with just creating a financial vision board. So visually, you create what these images and these feelings and what your values and purpose look like. And then you can take that process and create, a traditional plan that has, reality, meaning, and purpose for goals that are, long-term for a lot of people. But that's a really fun process that anybody can go through, and just starting with a financial vision board.
Yeah. And I think that's what I love about working with you too, because, at the top of ours is a big boat that we can go, drive around on the Eastern Seaboard. And so, it's like having those kind of dreams. And it's like Shelly helps us plan to get there. So it's super cool. Super, super cool. So you and I have been, I don't even know how many years we've been working together at this point. You were on the first Own Your Genius series. So what was it that brought you into the mastermind program, and what's shifted?
Well, what's funny is Kathi McCarty brought me into the group. She introduced me to Cami, and I've been working with you for 3 years, and it is just a huge shift for me to have this kind of a community and connection, because again, it's outside of the world I traditionally have worked in. The language, making these connections with other women and entrepreneurs, but also getting outside of my own head, right? Like, this is not something that is my, comfort level to be doing, speaking about things in a very, non-traditional financial way.
Right.
But it feels so good. And I'm empowered in this community. And there's so many other women out there, right, that aren't even a part of your community yet, that I think want to be a part of something. They just don't even know how. And that was me before Kathi said, you really need to talk to Cami, and see if it's a fit. But it just has been, it's been a game changer for me in being able to get my message out there and feel like it's going to make a difference. And it's not just all in my head. It is something, as I relate to my community here today, I mean, everything we're doing interrelates together, because you can't make big differences in this world for yourself or others without money. And if I can empower people to not feel so guilty or live with the history of, bad financial decisions, whatever, it doesn't matter. You can move forward today, any day, and change whatever you want. Just like my eating habits. I'm inspired by Liz every time I talk to her. And I'm like, I need to learn more about this, because I can make a difference, right? In my food choices for my family and myself and my world.
Yeah. That's the ripple effect. And that's what gets me so excited. It's like, how you're helping people with their money, how Liz is helping people with their food. I mean, that's all of the sorts of things. It's the ripple effect that happens here. And that's super exciting to me. It's what gets me up every morning and excited to be in community with all of you. So love it, love it, love it. Okay. Thank you so much. Let's move to Kathi McCarty, who is the founder of Meth Toxins Awareness Alliance. Now, Kathi, you and I have been together a long time as well, and we've known each other even longer. As friends and colleagues. So it's fun to have you in this community, and your journey has really transformed in a big sort of way. Tell us what Meth Toxins Awareness Alliance is.
Yes, and Cami, we go back probably about 20 years. You were in the community that I was also raising my family in, and it's great to be here with all of you. Meth Toxins Awareness Alliance is actually a movement founded on the precedence of me learning through my own experience that meth is an issue in not only in our real estate, but in many areas of our life. And what
Meaning
I refer to as
that toxins are in
yes,
in the real estate properties.
right, methamphetamine toxins as opposed to methane type of gas too. And it's really interesting to share this platform with Liz, who talks about toxins in food, and Shelly, who talks about the financial piece. It really is a link and a blend of conversation, because methamphetamine toxins really is hugely impactful in our health as well as our financial stability.
Yeah. And that really came through your own personal story, where your family home was rented, and you had somebody came into your home, rented your home through a management company who was supposed to be vetted, and they weren't, and they cooked meth in your home. And so you had a very dire situation take place that impacted your life and impacted your home and impacted your finances, because your home that you were ready to pay off was suddenly impacted. Tell us the short version of that.
Yeah, those are the cliff notes. I basically had a health event, serious health event in 2016. I was in a corporate environment with Shelly Schell at that time, and it changed the trajectory of my world. And that's where I came to work with you in the mastermind group to really work on my next chapter. And as I was in the process of doing that, I made a decision. All my kids were off in the next chapter of their lives in college and whatnot. And so I chose to just temporarily rent out our family home to offset medical costs in the next chapter. And what seemed like a sensible solution did turn into my worst nightmare when a temporary tenant, I learned within 90 days of his tenancy, was cooking and consuming meth, and learned that the management company never did vet him and never took responsibility for what I thought was their neglect and misconduct. So that trauma for me, or that, that impact took me from, trauma to visionary to really putting together impact in what I learned in this process, which was a huge 100 hurdles, especially in the first 100 days. And I'm 3.5 years post that situation, and it's put me on a trajectory of really creating a movement to bring this education and affect positive preventative change.
Yeah. So if the whole world could hear one message from you, what is that?
Well, I think it's pretty simple. The fact that meth usage is at epidemic levels is really undisputed in the areas of law enforcement, our judicial system, and healthcare, and that toxins are in every neighborhood and every community. You cannot profile a particular home or a neighborhood or a community, and that especially in these unprecedented times in real estate, there's no transparency of meth usage or previous impact, and we have to take matters in our own hands to take those steps to protect ourselves.
Yeah. So you have been going down the pathway of really becoming a leader and taking this message out. In what ways? Who needs to know this?
I think it's really twofold. It's a twofold message of not only individuals who are either home buyers or even home sellers, but even tenants. I've learned multiple tenants have been impacted by meth contamination that already existed either in a home or came through transfer from multi-units. But also because I came from an industry of banking and lending for over 30 years, and I had never heard the conversations of methamphetamine in real estate, I really have taken a proactive step to connect with trusted advisors in many industries to really join me in bringing this awareness and education to the clientele that they serve.
Yeah. So bringing the education to real estate companies and realtors and brokerages so that they know how to keep their clients safe in the buying process. I know one of the things you always say is, make sure if you're buying a home, get it tested, right?
That is one way, but there's many ways that you can look into a property by searching your health department, either county or state health departments, for any previous impacts that are not disclosed because they're not required. The real estate community is only one community. Coming from lending, I challenge the lending community to join me in bringing this awareness and education, as well as the insurance industry. I learned through my own impact as much as the insurance industry, and I put all those protections in place to have a tenant in there. I learned that there are exclusions. You can't. An insurance policy does not cover for everything, and contaminations can be one of them, especially meth contamination, as well as criminal activity. So these types of things are not covered under our homeowners policies under residential real estate, and that's where I'd like to continue to join forces with the education workshops that I'm putting on and platforms that I've created, and work in collaboration with these professionals to bring this and organizations to bring this information out there on a much larger scale, not only locally here in Colorado or the Front Range, but nationally and even globally.
Yeah, absolutely. So the vision is huge. And it's, Kathy's, we always say she's our next Erin Brockovich in this world. And so the other part of that is the advocacy at a legislative level. And I know that, this is seeds in progress.
It is.
And what's the most important things that we want to really be thinking about as we move into the legislative side of things?
Well, one of the things that I learned through this process is only about half of our states in our nation have any regulations and or laws even around meth contamination. The other half has zero. And out of those half that do, including Colorado here, there's only about 6 of them that I've been able to locate that have any disclosure requirement post remediation. What does that mean in English? It means if a property was remediated to the state standard, they're not required to disclose it on a real estate document in a transaction, and there's no transparency. And what I've learned is if the process is through these health departments that are, mandated through county or state guidelines, if the processes are safe, then why not be transparent? And what's the big secret then? But they're not, and including my own home and remediated to the state standard doesn't always mean that it's gone. It gets into the bones of the home, the contaminations, and especially at medium to high levels, it can be very impactful to our health, and then also, of course, our finances, because it could cost tens to hundreds of thousands of dollars to remediate it, and it could be a financially devastating situation. That being said, it's important to get educated. And what does that mean? And how can you protect yourself? As simple as walking the neighborhood of a property that you're interested in making an offer on and knocking on the doors and finding out what they may know.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point, because that would have saved some people in your neighborhood, would it not have? When they purchased a home after you fully disclosed.
I did, because I was told that it was.
Which you did the right thing. Ethically, you did the right thing.
And that
it didn't
always
carry
happen.
forward. Yeah.
No,
so the ripple effect of that. So this is so important what you're doing. And let's talk about your journey through the mastermind program and just what's different. I mean, I know there's so much different. How has it served you?
Sure. We were
served you through a very difficult time.
It has. And, through trauma, I've been able to get vision and clarity. And like Shelly and even Liv said, connections and collaborations, and this clarity for content, and taking me down a path that is touching me in ways that I get out of my head and really get into my heart, and speak from that. I'm also a mom, and I have this desire and this passion for prevention. I want to protect people from this ever happening to anybody else. And so through your mastermind and through these collaborations and your guidance, it's given me a roadmap to really understand what I want to say and how I want to say it and where I want to say it. And I now that I'm kind of have this personal journey mostly behind me as far as the personal impact, it gives me that space and capacity to really make effective changes. And I'm excited.
Your voice is going out all around the world, and we will know Kathi, and we'll be able to say we knew her when. So she's doing really important work. So thank you for all the important work that you're doing. We're going to start our second round, and Kathi, I'm going to start with you on this. Showing up for others, showing up and making an impact with your message, with your voice, means that we have to care for ourselves first. What do you do to take care of you?
Well, through this process, there's been a pandemic also,
Yeah.
or through a chunk of it also. And one of the things that I realized is, through trauma and that emotional impact is that I really needed to get quieter, and I needed to really draw in my circle and tap into my family and my closest of friends. And I also am a lover of nature, and so I really spent that time. Nature is nurture for me, and found ways through all the seasons to really feed my soul and heal my heart.
Yeah, that's so good. I love that. And I love the question, one pearl, what's one pearl of wisdom you would love to share with our listeners today?
Pearls of wisdom. Well, I know that there's an area of higher awareness, integrity, and accountability around the impacts in the subject matter of meth toxins and even other contaminants, and all the aspects that it covers in our lives. And it allows us to truly care um, for one another today and leave a legacy for generations to come. So, as much as it's not always easy, I implore people to uh, take that wisdom and do the right thing.
I like that. I like that. And where can people learn more about you and your work?
The couple of places three places where I've been the most active are the website methtoxinsalliance.com, as well as we do have our Facebook page where we're very interactive and having live conversations. Facebook, Meth Toxins Awareness Alliance, and then my personal LinkedIn page based off my spelling.
And you've got a weekly show that you're doing.
It's we've been doing a weekly talk show I've been doing in collaboration with a person in of the wellness space who has an amazing wellness platform, You Define Wellness, Denise O'Malley. And we've been bringing experts in. We've had several experts in the area of real estate law, testing, meth remediation, people that have been impacted, the wellness space and whatnot. And all the recordings are there, and I invite people to come and look. And I'm working on a digital magazine to bring this information on a much larger audience through a healthy homes magazine coming soon.
Excellent. And Denise is on. She says, I love this conversation. You're all inspirations. And one of the Facebook users, I don't know who it is, said, you are truly an inspiration, taking such a painful experience and transforming into a movement that can help others. And Kathi is a hero to home buyers. That's the other piece that came through. So fun. Thanks for the comments, guys. Love this. Shelly, let's jump over to you. Showing up for others. How are you taking care of yourself?
Well, that's a hard thing. I'm not usually, that's one of the last things that I've done, but I will say, I do a lot of just quiet time. And honestly, it just, I'm not feeling guilty for just taking that time for myself. And the other thing that I do is when I'm kind of struggling with something or I'm feeling a lot of stress, I'll reach out to, one of my peers, one of my community, the women that I've met in Cammie's group, honestly, because there's this, they know you and what you're kind of going through. And that's really helped me to not keep within myself, if that makes sense, and not take it all in and let it stress me out. So conversations help me a lot with like-minded people, quite frankly. And then just quiet time with music and just being free. I do love the outdoors, but not so much in the winter. I'm not a cold weather person as much. So, but just a little bit of that sunshine and fresh air helps with everything. Makes it all better.
Does. I'm so happy that we're starting, and not today, but we're starting to see more warm days, and that certainly moves my body as well too. So I love that. What's your one pearl of wisdom?
I would say if we trust in our instincts, right? We listen to ourselves and we hear these messages. We have to follow those messages. And more often than not, it's like, I know there's something in my industry, like I know I should be doing something with my money. I just don't want to deal with it. And you just need to trust that it's time to take that step in anything you do in life, right? But trusting in our instincts and really following those little voices that we have, even if it's scary, even if it's feels uncomfortable, the journey down that path to exploring our inner voices and listening to them will take you so much further than anything else.
Love it. Love it. Love it. And where can people learn more about you and your work and your course?
So you can, I'm active on LinkedIn as Shelly Schell. And then I have a program on seasonalfinance.com. You could check that out. It's a free program. You can check that out. And then
take advantage of that, guys. I mean, it's a free program and it's so full of good information. It will just set you on a nice path.
And it's fun. It's a series of videos, and so you can do them at your convenience. But it is fun. We do the vision planning workshop, which is a vision board to kick it off. So it's not like, you're going to be sitting there with a couple pieces of paper trying to figure out your life financial situation. It's not about that. And then lastly, my firm, prismfinancialstrategies.com, where you can learn more about the work that I do to serve individuals and families.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Shelly. Kay and Liz, how are you taking care of yourself?
Well, it's a constant recalibration, really. It's like we get to a place where we're like,
a good point.
I feel good. My life is balanced. And then like a week later, you're like, well, I forgot everything.
That's so true. So true.
Yeah. So it's a constant recalibration.
So how do you recalibrate? What's your tricks? I mean, probably even recognizing it, right?
That is such a trick, is recognizing it. We, in my work, I know a lot about how our bodies speak to us when something is off. Depression, bellyache, poor sleep, whatever it might be. And so I work in the realm of teaching other people how to notice their symptoms. And so I'm much more able to notice when something's off with me. And then I go, oh, that means I need to spend more time with other humans, or I need to, spend more time outside or things like that. But for me, like coming out of the pandemic, it was all about community. It was all about joining groups and connecting with people in really just free flowing kinds of ways where you could just joke around and be natural. And also for me, I really know, of course the whole food side of thing is really important to me. But also I schedule in time for creativity, or I leave time for creativity.
That's a really good tip.
Yeah. If I'm just on my to-do list day after day, I get really stressed out. I have to be able to write or create something.
That's awesome. I love that. So what is your one pearl of wisdom?
My pearl, well, I like to call it a pearl of wisdom.
Ooh, even better. Kudos. I think you need to.
You just muted yourself, I think.
Oh,
wait, there you are again.
I said, I think you need to brand that one.
I just came up with it last night. So I think I should. Wait, what was the question?
So what is your pearl of wisdom?
My pearl of wisdom. We have so many myths about what's possible for our health and happiness in this culture. And we have a really low bar for what's normal. And so my pearl of wisdom is if you think your health can't improve, or someone tells you your health can't improve, seek another opinion. There's so much we can do and fine tune about how we're caring for our bodies and our brains, that don't stop at what seems to be normal all around you, because everyone is struggling so much. And there's always ways we can support ourselves more elegantly so we can just feel better.
That's great.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, when Kathi was speaking, I kept thinking, gosh, if I could just get to all the people before they start doing meth, because I get it. Like, people are exhausted and they're like, I got to get through my day. Like, what are my options? There are other options. There are much better options.
You want to be on the forefront of that. Don't go that route.
Yeah. Don't do it.
Yeah.
Let's get nourished.
Yeah, that's so good. And where can people learn more about your work?
My website is peopleplanetsolutions.com, and there's links to my Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. I'm not on Facebook. So yeah, peopleplanetsolutions.com, and send me a message. I love hearing from people.
Oh, so good. So good. Well, this has been so much fun. So all of you tuning in, thanks for so much who are here now and who are catching the replays. What I will say is, as I'm sure as you are hearing some of the different stories, what's happening for all of these amazing, extraordinary women in my community is that you know why I love my work, right? You see what happens with the transformation that happens for people. And I love what is, the vision of a message that rises up with every single person. It's like that clarity and how they're going to go make a difference. So you guys, thank you so much for making my world bright. I really appreciate each of you. And I love the work that you're doing. I love the ripple effect that you're creating. Now I've got 1 million women out there to reach, and it's about the ripple effect that you guys are all taking as well. So please keep doing the good work you're doing. If anybody is wanting to hear more about this amazing mastermind community, I have 2 communities. I have a Soulful Inspired Business Mastermind, and I have the Scale, Growth, and Impact Mastermind. That's my platinum level for people who have gone over that 6-figure level. And what I'd say is that either one of these communities are just amazing and extraordinary. If you want to have a conversation around what that feels like to be a part of a community like this, to be taking your voice to a whole new level, to be taking your business to that next level, let's have a conversation. I've got 5 spots over the next couple of weeks. So just reach out to me and we can have a conversation. Tomorrow we have Kathleen June, who's all about really tapping into our adult learning knowledge so that when we're teaching in our programs, we're creating programs that stick and help people learn and grow. Kathleen is an expert in the field of adult learning and how we can build our courses from a soulful structure. And I adore Kathleen. You guys are going to adore her as well. We have Shelly Johnson, who helps women in their 40s really unleash their edge and show up in bigger ways in their roles in the corporation. We have Dana Kirchmar, who is our rocket scientist, inspiring young women in STEM and STEAM. So we've got some amazing women coming up tomorrow. And then we are next week, same times on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, we have another lineup that is going to continue. So make sure you mark your calendars and join us at 1 o'clock p.m. Mountain Standard Time on tomorrow, and then next week on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Thanks, ladies. It was so much fun to be here with you. And we see Dana. Dana says great wisdom. Thanks so much. And we see Diana Hollister. You are also inspirational. I so agree with both of them. So thanks, everybody. We'll see you all tomorrow. Bye.
Thanks, Kim.
Bye.
Bye.